Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Enlightenment to All on YouTube. Today is April the 3rd, 2020, and we have a wealth of seismic activity going on all across North America right now, some of which we have some wild theories spurning about an underground operation in the military, to which there is some credence, I would say. There is some journalism that might lead you to come to that same conclusion. But we are definitely experiencing a lot of Earth movements now. I felt the recent event in southern Idaho, way up here in Spokane, Washington. It's another sign of something big is about to happen. And some people will say it's the coronavirus. Some people will say that it is related to the military coup that could be going on. Any number of things could be going on. But one thing is quite clear, and that is that something big is about to pop off, if it has not already, wherever you're at. So the latest here in Spokane, Washington, yesterday, Governor Inslee extended the stay-at-home order through May the 4th. So that is another month and a day from today. This comes as no surprise to me. However, a lot of people are surprised about it. Welcome to the Watchman. If the virus is airborne, why are they testing deep in NASA passage? Should easily test in saliva. It could very well be a fraud. This is what people give they give their trust so easily away because they're afraid that they are infected. And unless, as I've said many times, you're a scientist yourself, you have a laboratory yourself with equipment, you are completely dependent on this entity to be forthcoming with you about what they're really finding with you. And among these paranoid people that are getting tested, I can only wonder how many of them are actually questioning it, asking, I would like an independent, investigation into if I really have this virus. I would like a second opinion from another laboratory that's not related to any federal entity. But see, that's the gist of it. Every laboratory that they will consider, legal, is connected to a federal entity. It's absolute. Testimony of Jesus, prophecy, New York will be destroyed and the UN will invade the rest. Very possible. I've thought the UN would be prepping to invade. They already are in Chicago, apparently, for some time. Yeah, not much news coming in from Mexico. I'm having to dig deeper to find international news. Facebook is now labeling things as fake news. And, everyone is just supposed to be like, okay, because Facebook said it's fake news, then it must be legit, right? Who can challenge this? Who can question this? Just like the Jews, right? Who can challenge? Who can question God's people? I mean, there's a fine line. A lot of people are walking here. So another thing I want to discuss today about the earthquakes was I've been forecasting earthquakes for quite a while, as you know, and while I'm not as big as someone like Dutch Sense or Suspicious Observers, someone who has a lot more followers and is more focused on that type of material, I nonetheless document and I watch radar and weather all the time. And in recent days, I've been seeing a pattern recurring more than I ever have previously in my life in regards to being correct about forecasting not only storms, but also seismic activity. And if you follow me on Facebook, you'll have all the latest, which I will put in the chat now, and I will have in my video description linked below. All the latest is always posted here. And you can see that I've been looking into these beams that are off the coast of California today before the earthquake happened. This is a sign of what's really going on here, and I explain it to you all very well there. What many people still think is science fiction in the way of geoengineering and terraforming is in fact legit. And the federal government themselves had admitted the former, which is geoengineering, but they have not admitted to the latter, which is terraforming. That's fine. Facebook isn't for anyone. Myself, I find I can reach a lot of people through there, and I'm well aware of the risks and etc. But I weigh those risks every day that I decide to continue my independent journalism. So let's go through some articles that I've been journaling for this past week, starting with facial recognition being passed in Washington State now. As facial recognition has now gone live in Washington State per Governor Lindsay's order, let's think about this now. Why are they pleading with people to wear the masks? Of course, they have the plausible deniability. They have the COVID. You have to wear the masks or you'll get the biological. But it's more than this, people. They are now testing iris recognition, which is, your eyes through the towers. It's more than facial recognition. See, they leave the iris recognition out of it. They only say it's facial recognition. And because the eyes are part of the face, a lot of people don't even think about that. And they think, oh, it's just our face. They couldn't be scanning our eyes. They're testing it right now. And you're all part of a trial run in mass surveillance. There's always an ulterior motive, and civilian people remain vastly in the dark about that one. Yeah, test kits contain the virus. I saw that media as well. The cure is the disease. It's part of it. And anyone who says no to it, they're going to see you as an enemy of the state. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to be able to combat the National Guard? I don't think so, unless you're with the militia and well armed, or unless you're with another entity, perhaps. From the past, perhaps. Maybe even deeper than that. Who knows? But moving on. Okay, so DARPA. This is great. We all know about DARPA. We all know that the shenanigans they're up to. DARPA is asking universities for access to their tunnels as soon as possible because the US military thinks it's where the next war will be fought. And I'm seeing increasing media about this underground warfare. This is because they're preparing to tell the people that you're under biological attack and you should go underground and not be above ground. This is why all the tanks are in place. And just because they haven't announced it yet, nobody believes it. Even though, as I have foretold, from the moment they transferred the initial 2 patients to Spokane, Washington, a month ago, saying there's no threat to the public at all. I called it a Trojan horse, and they all called me crazy and said that I was, inducing fear. Now we have almost 3,000 cases in the state. And they still, even now, the same people tell me that I'm crazy and that I'm trying to cause fear and unrest as event after event after event is manifest before them. They wander blindly as sheep to the slaughterhouse, or they're paid agents to try and discredit anyone trying to get the truth out there, which is covert warfare 101. No militia, no unity, no nothing. Well, I'm glad that some people are aware of their own belief system of a savior, because there's strength to be found in that. You said your mother felt the earthquake in Pullman Highway. Yeah, it's I felt the earthquake here that happened in southern Idaho. And let's take a look in right now because I'm on heightened alert and there's continued activity. Indonesia, southern Idaho just had another 3.1. Southern California has been rumbling since the initial 4.9. These are a lot of aftershocks for a 4.9. And I am concerned that this is a precursor to a larger event to come, much like what happened in Japan in 2011 when you had a 7.2 earthquake and then there was the 9.0 to follow, which caused the tsunami. Or so they say. So DARPA is basically telling people to be ready for a move to underground. My material on the radar that I discussed earlier here, there's beams off Southern California I'm looking at right now that's showing you there's geoengineering and terraforming going on here, but it's fiction to most people still. Coronavirus being used as a way to silent dissent across the globe. This out of the New York Post. This is American media posting this now. And who can deny that? Who can deny that the whole biological thing is being used to systematically, strategically eliminate anyone who speaks of dissent? And that's why I say, could be just a matter of time for they're knocking at my door. Because I've been known to speak of dissent from time to time. I've not broken any law. I have no criminal record. And I possess a good wealth of knowledge when it comes to the legal world. So I feel that I am shielded for the most part. I still remain stocked up and prepared here as we are now bearing down for another month for the governor's order. Continuing on. There's been some strange radar anomalies I've documented recently. There are 500 to 1,000 mile radiuses of rain, precipitation, and for about a 10-minute interval, it turns to snow. And what this signals to me is that there is a cold pulse being sent through the air for whatever reason, perhaps to experiment further or to extend the winter, which is happening now nationwide. It has been a cold, brutal winter, especially for the northern latitudes. I'm sure they will be rioting when they find out order will not be lifted the next month. It's a ticking time bomb. How long can people be expected to completely conform to this draconian stay-at-home order, even as the numbers, or supposedly the numbers the media is feeding us, continue to grow? You're going to be like a caged animal eventually. It's human nature to want to get out there. Only the hermit and the crone are going to be able to endure this. And I think that's another reason they're putting up all these towers now, as they have everyone locked down except the people who are working to install these towers. And we hear media about the towers being burnt down and torn down. They will arrest you for that, and they will confine you for that if you try to tear down the 5G towers. As for myself, I don't condone tearing down the 5G towers. I don't think that's the right play. I think that you have to first make a case for yourself that's undeniable. And granted, there is mounting and growing evidence for that endeavor. But for straight up torching into towers and tearing them down, this is what they want you to do, so they can entrap you. They can entrap your activist type people who are aware of the dangers that could come from these devices. So you should be wise to impart knowledge and know that even as you might have an impulse within you to act out, speak out, remain calm, remain patient, and observe. That's the best advice I could give most people in this time, because you will be triggered. They will be wanting to trigger you into action. Choose very wisely when you choose to act. They're trying to push the smart meter. I had to chase them off. Lucky my gate is locked. They did install the smart meter here. I had no say in it. My father, before he died recently, said that he wanted the new smart meter installed, and I tried to inform him there are risks associated with this. And wouldn't you know it, no more than 4 months, 5 months after it was installed, my father died from what was diagnosed as ALS, after I had to get a second opinion, as the first doctor was convinced it was bronchitis. And I honestly cannot dismiss the theory that my father had coronavirus itself and was a victim of it back in November. And the doctors knew about it, but they weren't supposed to tell anyone about it then. Now, can I prove that? Other than the fact that I did have to get a second opinion, and I observed it very closely, and I pleaded with the doctors, he doesn't have bronchitis. You don't lose the ability to speak over bronchitis. It's just like when I was lobbying in the capital of Olympia, everyone, for clean energy and 0 Point Energy, my company. It's an uphill battle, especially now, as small businesses are seeking aid. Our company as well is seeking aid currently, as we are faced with a difficult situation. But I do see an opportunity for us in the future, because if these volcanoes do follow up the seismic activity, which is logical, then growing plants is going to be mostly dependent upon an organic nature indoors. And you're going to need not only the ability to generate electricity, but the ability to store that electricity efficiently. I feel that's where my company can make a breakthrough in these times. However, given the current environment here in Washington State, we are locked down. I can't get to town. My resources are extremely limited when it comes to research and development currently. And the timing couldn't be worse right now for us here in Washington State. We're dealing with the long winter, and the virus is prolonged by the cold weather. I am under the honest and humble opinion that the weather is under control and that it is being used as part of this agenda that's going on. And it's more than just the coronavirus. It's more than just a biological. They're testing new forms of surveillance now. Everyone with the masks on, they want to use eye recognition. And unless you're truly informed, you have no clue of this. You are merely trying to survive out here. And, God bless the civilian people of America, because they have no clue of what's coming. None at all. So continuing on with my journalism. So we have another Hollywood actor that is speaking out about what's really going on. Lee Ryan won't apologize, as he claims 5G is linked to coronavirus. So the whole conspiracy about the Hollywood adrenochrome thing is pretty wild. But can it be dismissed logically? No. In my research, it cannot be. Therefore, this theory must still be entertained. And we have seen a lot of strange behavior from celebrities in recent days and weeks. Not that They're always strange, which they are, but perhaps it's being reported more. This could be one of them. He's speaking out saying that the 5G towers are linked. To me, the only evidence that the 5G towers are linked to this biological is that it has been shown to weaken the human immune system. And if that is true, then you'll also see signs of when the grid has gone up, because your plants will start to wither, even as you take care of them as you always have. These are signs that most people won't be able to recognize. And in recent weeks, I've noticed I've been taking care of the plant out here, and it's withering at its tips. And I continue to document this in my independent journalism. If the time should ever come that I'm given a chance to seek justice for the atrocities that I have journaled, I promise all of you that I will. But in a system of justice that's corrupt, how far can it go, to be quite honest? Bonner County Sheriff was saying he stands for the First Amendment. Yes, this was something else I was concerned about. Was there's going to be a gun grab at some point, and while the state patrol and the local police may enforce it, I would like to know what the sheriffs are going to do. Because much as you have political entities which differ, you have law enforcement entities which differ. I know that the Spokane police said that they're not going to enforce the stay-at-home order to its full extent. But as Governor Inslee pushes more, I think that they will have to, if they wish to keep their badge. And it's going to be difficult on the police department as well, because not every police department, not every precinct is corrupt, but there are precincts that are corrupt. And in these times, that corruption is often revealed undeniably. So that's another thing to be on the lookout for. When the media starts pushing police corruption, you know that that's another move on the chessboard that's going on here. Be aware. Heed my words. Heed knowledge. Knowledge will be the only savior. I promise you that. So let's continue on with some more journalism here. The stay-at-home order was extended, as I said. More radar anomalies were being recorded off the coast of Washington State. I think it could very well be trying to invoke the volcanoes that are here. And if you look at the seismographs, this is another interesting fact. Look at the seismographs from the earthquake that happened in Idaho, and you will see that as far away as Greenland, they were having more intense seismic readings than they were in Idaho. And what this tells me is that there's seismic activity that's going on that's not being reported. As I hear aircraft going overhead. But I can guarantee you, with the skeleton crews that are running now, there's going to be food shortages, there's going to be power outages. They're starting to limit the people that can go to Walmart now here in Washington State. It doesn't take a genius to see where this can go if you follow any historical example and apply it to a modern culture. And yet I still find there are many who are vastly unprepared, and they are not concerned with what's going on around us. And perhaps it is as the scripture says, that the volcano must speak to them for them to understand. So from here, I can only continue to stock up and continue to monitor with my independent journalism and report on what I can. As I said, I've linked in the chat here my Facebook. This is where you can stay up to date on all the latest. I normally go here first. This is one of my largest networks currently. And you can also follow me here on YouTube and on Twitter as well. Twitter, I am under Matthew MG2. I'll have that linked in my video description below at the conclusion of this video, which will probably be within the next 2 to 3 minutes. So just before I sign off today, the points to get across today are the increased amount of seismic activity. Some from the Q entity believe that there is an underground war going on now, which some of the media I shared with you earlier would support that theory. These earthquakes perhaps are not completely what they appear to be. We must also remember that the media is playing dirty tricks on everyone, as we have CBS News reporting from America's epicenter, New York, with footage that's out of Italy. Remember that you should watch the media, people, to be informed, but you should compare it to many forms of media. And that's how you'll discover the spin they're putting on everything, because it's profiting them. In regards of the current ongoing pandemic situation here in Washington State, it's been extended for another month, the stay-at-home order. And I anticipate within the next month, there's going to be some unrest. I think there's going to be a lot of angry people who may try to lash out. Some may even try to lash out at the towers that are going up. And I can confirm they are going up. So May knowledge bless you all. May you all remain aware and alert of what's really going on around us. And until next time, I will keep you updated with everything I can through my independent journalism here on all my networks. Please give me a follow in my material in the video description below. And until next time, be well, everybody.